Skegness at Paradigm competition. We've come to talk to Simon Traves, who has 2 cars for a full assault on the 2025 season. Simon's got a brand new tarmac car and a fully refurbished shale car. I'm going to talk to Simon now about that. Also, in part 2, we're going to talk to Simon about what he does as a day job. Hello, Simon Traves. Thank you so much for inviting us over to Skegness and sorting out the weather.
Yeah, it's always sunny in Skegness.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think it is sometimes. We drove here and left turn Skegness, and we're kind of 10 minutes on, so very close to the stadium.
Sort of 10 minutes from the track, which is handy if you need to try something out or bed tyres in, it's good.
And can you hear racing? Because it's flat, Lincolnshire's flat.
Yeah, when there's a big meeting on, you can hear everything, but when it's domestic meetings, unfortunately all you can hear is Richie Kalita.
Oh, okay. Which, if you're going to bed at night...
Yeah, you think he's talking to you on your sleep or something.
Which isn't great. So of course you invited us over because we're going to reveal a new car.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, I suppose a bit of backstory on Simon Traves. Formula One, you registered 2020, first season 21, so not that long ago.
No.
What was kind of prior to Formula One?
So in the past I did circuit racing, a Ginetta GT5, Mazda MX-5 and Mark II Golf.
Yeah.
Before that was sort of karting and things like that. But really just the working in motorsport and trying to race in motorsport got very difficult because you only have, a championship will only have 7 race weekends, and if you can only do 2 of those weekends because of work commitments, you basically end up not racing.
Yeah, of course.
So initially, even though we live close to Skegness, never actually really been, as a child I went a couple of times and seen the monster truck, etc., but never actually actively to watch racing. And we were on the way back from a race meeting once, and me and a lad Lewis that worked for me at the time were just talking and said, why don't we get a stock car? And we literally drove back to the workshop, dropped off my Ginetta, and then drove off and went and picked up a Formula 2 stock car from Essex. And then we drove back, and the next day went straight to Skeg and drove it round. And
so did you know about Formula 2s and Formula 1s and V8s and all the different kind of...
Not really. We were very, very much just... The only reason we knew about Formula 2s was because earlier that year we'd been racing at Knockhill and had been to Cowdenbeath.
Yeah.
And Formula 2s were on. So we just found one. And
was it a bit of a spur of the moment?
Yeah, it seemed like a good idea when we were on the ferry on the way back.
How many beers?
Yeah, many probably. But yeah, and then drove it and actually quite enjoyed it, and thought it's a way of doing more racing, sort of as and when it fits around work, really. Yeah.
So how long? So before Formula One, how many sort of seasons Formula 2?
So I think I didn't really race it that much. Probably I only did sort of 5 or 6 meetings because I got that car, which was quite an old car, and ordered a new Randall, and by the time that was ready to race, it was sort of over Formula 2s and wanted to move into Formula 1s.
And why? Why was that?
Just because the speed and the power of a Formula 1 is a lot more fun to drive than the Formula 2, really. A Formula 2 is very precise driving style, but you know you're always full throttle pretty much, and you've not got much left.
Yes, understand.
And Rob Speak sorted out for me to have a day at Skegness in the car that I actually bought and raced with the Davidsons, and I was like, from that moment I was like,
I'm sold.
I don't want to sit in a Formula 2 ever again.
And have you always lived here? Like it's always kind of...
always in this area, so I grew up about 25 minutes away from here in a similar sort of village to this. So my granddad and dad are farmers, so grew up around the family farm, driving cars and motorbikes and sort of doing whatever we wanted, really.
Absolutely. I mean, like we said at the very beginning, very handy for Skegness. And
Yes,
so was tarmac like, for the sort of 2021 was season number 1,
Yeah.
and was it predominantly tarmac first season?
So I did have a shale car as well. I had a fold-in built shale car. It was actually Jordan Folding's car. I think my first ever meeting was actually on shale at Kings Lynn. So yeah, the plan was always to do both. Just naturally, from the racing I'd done previously, I was better on tarmac than shale. And then by the time I got going on shale properly, I was already at red.
Yeah.
So it made it difficult to learn how to be quick on shale whilst amongst all the other reds.
Yeah, of course.
So
season 21, good, and then it kind of went into season 22.
So season 21 was sort of, I can't remember, that was the COVID year, wasn't it? It started late. I can't remember how many meetings we did, but we did Skeg British and had a good meeting there.
Yeah.
And a couple of shale meetings, it was good.
Yeah, so I remember talking to you because it was that very funny time of, we had the Rainbow Series and kind of I remember talking to you at Skegness like when we were doing that series and like kind of you knew into Formula 1, which is obviously interesting and like your background and stuff. So we're going to 22, which is like first main season, which was a good season to begin with, absolutely, certainly. Yeah,
we had a good season. On shale we were okay, getting top 10 places, and on tarmac we had a very good season.
Did you change car, didn't you, for shale?
So I think it was probably about halfway through that year, the Hunter car came available. So did a deal to have that, and it took a bit of getting used to, but it's a very good car and proven car. Yeah.
Because it's a Tom Harris built, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's Tom Harris built. It's actually first raced by Ben Riley. Yeah. And then Will. And then Tom raced it a few times, and then to me. Yeah. And 22 was shootout. You got in a shootout. Yeah. You know, I remember like we spoke. We featured drivers throughout, and but it didn't end great, did it? I suppose 22. It wasn't the best end into a season. The last half of the 2022 season we're still getting good results, but we had an engine fail at World Final. Yeah. And then an engine had actually lent to Tom to use that failed when he was practicing at Skeg. No fault of Tom's, it was just one of those things. Yeah. So we'd lost 2 engines, so I actually didn't have an engine to race, and Jamie kindly lent me an engine for my tarmac car to finish the season. But then obviously at Hennesford I had a bit of a crash on some oil from the bangers, and had fractured 2 vertebrae. Wow. So yeah, it wasn't as painful as you think, really.
You said it very matter of factly.
Yeah, it wasn't. To be honest, I didn't. It was the Tuesday until I sort of went to hospital, but my back wasn't really the issue. Hadn't got full eyesight back in my right eye, so that's why I went to hospital. Still walking, didn't really even realise anything was wrong, and they basically said, "Yeah, this is why."
Yeah. Oh, thanks.
So, yeah. So then, that's why the natural gap in racing started from was, well, I can't race until July Speed Weekend because that's what they advised me to do. Yeah. So I thought, well...
And that was July Speed Weekend 2023?
2023, yeah. So then I thought, well, we may as well use the time to refurbish the cars and decide what to do with the tarmac car. Because at the time, my tarmac car needed quite a bit of work doing, because at Venray we had quite a big roll.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Sort of went end over end 5 times. So from that it was the chassis was still bent. So it was, at that point it was like, do we put all the time and money into that car or have something new? And yeah, that's naturally how it all started, really.
So did you, tarmac car was repaired but then sold on?
Yes, yeah. So it was sold as it finished Hennesford, basically, to the Thorntons, and obviously Tom did the work on it, and then he raced it for a season. Yeah. But the initial plan was to be ready to go racing in July 2023. But
we're now April 2025.
Yeah. It's just finding the time to actually. You don't appreciate how much time goes into building a stock car, putting one together, and trying to fit it in around work and
Yeah.
working away. And just the months just go by, and then you're into the next season.
Absolutely. Well, I think, we were talking in the car on the way here, like we started at King's Lynn in March, and now we're at Easter. But it's just like, where's it gone already?
And also, I didn't want to. I could have got one car finished before the other, and then just race one car. But I knew that if I did that, the other car would just fall by the wayside and never get finished. So I wanted to get the back of the bus converted, because before we were a tow bar on the bus and a trailer, which it was manageable, but it made it it was okay loading up at the workshop, but at a meeting when it's busy and you've got to take a trailer off and put it down the side, and it made the meetings difficult. So we wanted to get all that sorted as well. So even though we've had a lot of time off, we've been busy in that time.
So 22 last full race season, you did, looking at one-off meeting 23?
Yeah, I did a deal with Nigel Hari to use Jake's tarmac car, just because I was obviously not racing for so long. I just wanted to get out and race something, and he wasn't racing, so it made sense to have a go.
And so it's been pretty much a couple of years out of sport, and but we're back in 25, refurbished shale car and a brand new tarmac car. Which we'll go and see right now. Is that all right?
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. Well, after you, Simon. Are you
I've got to go first.
Yeah, you got to go first. Oh, do you want to go first? I know. I can't really. Can I go first?
Yeah.
Simon, this is a very, very impressive stock car workshop. Is this the actual stock car workshop?
Some of the time.
Okay.
With the cars as they are now, yes.
Yeah.
But normal race season.
Okay.
You have them in a different workshop.
Over there.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about day job as sort of part 2 of this programme. But let's talk about stock cars. So we've got a shale car over there. Let's go and have a clap first.
Yeah.
It's looking very, very, very nice and shiny. I like this. So this is your Hunter purchased Tom shale car.
Yeah.
What have you done to it? What have you, so talk about refurbished stuff. What have you kind of done to this one then over the sort of time away?
This has been stripped back to a bare chassis.
Yeah.
And then some of the undercarriage replaced, bumpers and nerfs, and then all repainted.
Yeah.
And all new panels apart from the bonnet, I think.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And in terms of doing work, we'll talk about kind of what your day job is. But in motorsport, have you done this? Has Tom done this? Like, what's kind of been the?
So, we've done it all here. This car, Terry George, who Elite, has moved to the Skegness area now. So he actually did some of the steel work on it, and Kev that works for me has done the steel work in some evenings and weekends.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of everyone really.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good to have a good team of people around you.
Yeah. I was going to say, what does that look like for you? Obviously, it's yourself, isn't there? And have you got like a good group of guys? Because people say with stock cars, you can't do it on your own, can you? You need people around you because of the size and the scale of what you're undertaking.
Yeah, I mean, luckily, being in Skegness area, through racing and things, I have met a lot of people that are now good friends of mine that all enjoy stock car racing and come and help and make it possible to actually go racing.
Yeah. And in terms of the car, raced it 2022, have you kind of changed much in terms of how you're setting it up, or things move on, don't they?
Yeah,
have you kept in touch with that kind of aspect of it?
Yeah, we've tried to keep in touch. We've changed a few minor things, but nothing too much.
Yeah.
A few things driver comfort wise. Before I basically just got the car and sat in it and drove it, so we changed the seat.
So I did notice it, like my technical knowledge of stock cars is rubbish, however the seat's quite wide and looks quite...
Yeah, so it's a moulded bead seat from the bead seat company.
Yeah.
So it's basically moulded to your body to give you better support.
Yeah.
It's what's used in things like most single seaters will have the same sort of seat.
Of course.
And you use it in GT cars as a seat insert for smaller drivers.
Yeah. And have you kind of kept in touch with the racing, like going watching and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so watching and obviously speak to Tom regularly.
Yeah.
about the cars and what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think hopefully the shell car will be good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Shell car's beautiful, but we've got a new tarmac car.
Yeah.
Let's do that now.
Yep.
Simon, we've done shell car, looks fantastic. We've got a new tarmac car, which you've alluded to. Just going back to the one that you sold, the big roll at Venray, it looked incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
Did it feel like, how did it feel afterwards, just before it's a tarmac car?
It wasn't actually too bad. It was basically sort of, I was going through the air thinking, well, in a minute it's going to hurt.
Yeah.
And then it never really did. It sort of just landed quite softly in the fence and rolled back onto its wheels.
Because I wasn't there, but I was watching it on the live stream. I was like, wow, it was like a bit of a Days of Thunder moment. Do you know what I mean? Down the back straight.
Yeah, it was basically the whole length of the straight and ended up in the entry to the corner in the catch fence. But yeah, it looked spectacular. But because it didn't contact the ground that many times, it wasn't
that many. So, tarmac car went to Cam Thornton. And you were kind of right, we're going to have a new one. So kind of what route did you go down and what things did you consider in terms of new car?
Just really, it was always, obviously I got on really well with the Tom Harris car I did have. So it was always going to be just try and get something that's an improvement on that, which at the time Tom had his white car. Yeah. So it was just have the same as that really.
Yeah. I want that. Yeah. Just that, Tom.
Yeah.
Is it a simple? And in terms of like Tom's car, I mean, you said the shell car was you had to kind of learn. It's a bit different. And kind of was there an element of that because Tom kind of builds cars for Tom, doesn't he? Obviously for customers. Was it kind of play a part?
You can obviously you can make the cars drive however you want them to drive, but you know if you want to have one of Tom's cars and be as quick as Tom, then obviously you need to have them set up how he would.
And would that mean you adapting your driving style slightly how you would like to drive? If that makes sense.
Yeah, to a certain extent. Yeah. That's what basically you have to adapt to the car. Yeah. But obviously there's some things each driver would have different. So you just have to do some practicing and race meetings and hopefully get into it.
So new Tom Harris tarmac car. And at this point, it's over there. It looks stunning. It looks absolutely stunning. Happy with it? Clearly.
Yeah, really happy with how it's come out. Obviously, originally we were going to have it black and grey, but changed our minds to be white.
I like white stock cars. I think they look fantastic. They just make them like pop out. They really do stand out.
And obviously, it wouldn't have been very good having a white shell car, so the tarmac car ended up white.
Yes. And how long, so we're in April, and how long have you had the car here, like kind of on your premises?
So Tom dropped it off in I can't remember, it's either early January or late December. Yeah. Actually, I think it was early January. We had a few bits to finish off on it. So we got all them done with the seat and things like that. Yeah. And
so it's pretty much, I guess, like in terms, as it sits now, it's 100% done. So you get it at what percentage done is from your perspective?
Well, I would say it was 100%. Yeah. It was only the seat and things like that that needed transponder and things like that. So.
And we're looking at debut when?
Should be Good Friday.
Okay. Skegness, And have you took it testing? Have you been out in it?
Yeah, so we went to Skeg a couple of Fridays ago for a couple of hours late on in the afternoon. Yeah. And it's very good.
It's very handy having that like 10 minutes down the road.
It is, because you can just you
could push it over the fields there.
Let's just go for an hour.
Yeah.
And Rob's great. You can just ring him and he'll say, no problem.
Yeah. And how did it feel first time out?
Yeah, it was very different to my other tarmac car in terms of in the middle of the corner. But soon got used to it.
So what's that mean for me as a real...
So at the middle of the corner, the point where you get to when you're sort of getting back on the throttle to come out of the corner, this car turns more at that point than what my other car did. So when you were on power, it's still turning, whereas my other car, when you was on power, it would start pushing out of the corner.
So in theory, that means you're coming out the bend faster then, potentially?
Hopefully, yes.
Yes. Okay. And were you doing lap times? Were you kind of like...
Maybe.
Okay. Really good. You look quite happy with them.
Well, it was quicker than my old car.
Perfect.
So anyway.
Right, good. Oh, see, I like this. Keep something secret. I like it. So car looks amazing. Good Friday Skegness for debut. We've got 2 cars at disposal. So what are the plans for this year then?
The plans are just to do as many meetings as we can around work.
Yeah.
And other commitments. Yeah, so as long as I'm free to go racing, we'll be there.
Does that make it hard to kind of commit to stuff? Because obviously we've got British on tarmac at Hednesford, World Final Kings Lynn, then you're in shootout. Because it must be quite difficult to earmark championships to aim for.
It can. You can make a rough plan because obviously I know when I'm going to be away, what our racing calendar work-wise is. But if things change where you have an issue at a race weekend or you get damage that needs sorting out, I might not then be able to make the stock car meeting I wanted to. Okay.
And shootout changed last year. Do you like that kind of new format?
Yeah, I think as a concept it's good.
Yeah.
I think it brings it closer together and potentially harder for... I think it's easier for somebody to stop who's winning.
Yeah, of course.
If they choose to.
Yeah. And is there any kind of championship or anything you'd like to kind of win or achieve in Formula 1 stock cars? Because you've got the machinery, haven't you? And with there, you clearly got talent, you red roof. Anything
so obviously we won the Scottish in...
Absolutely.
I guess 2022. And that's actually running again this year. So, and I'm hoping to go and do that and hopefully see if we can defend it. Yeah. And then do as many of the championship meetings that we can. Yeah. For the first time since I've been racing, I can actually do every Skeg Speed weekend this year. So that's obviously handy. Yeah. And they're good weekends for tarmac. Yeah. And then hopefully we'll get to the World Cup. Yes, over in Holland. Yeah. And do you have a preference for surface? Yeah, I think back when I started, it was sort of either or, but because we started going better on tarmac, it's sort of the effort went towards tarmac, and shale it was sort of clean it, see if it's got any damage and go again sort of thing. We didn't put a lot of effort into the shale side of things, where this year we plan on to put as much effort into the shale as tarmac to try and get the performance there on both surfaces. Yeah, that makes sense. Because in my head, I go like tarmac's more aligned with your sort of background. Yeah. So tarmac, naturally, it's easier to know when you need a change on the car. It's easier to know what we need to do to make it work. Whereas on shale, it's completely with the same as everybody else. Really just ask Tom what to do. So yeah. There's a lot of, I always think that about shale, and everybody says it's always, right, Simon, there's people talk about shale racing, and there's so many different opinions on views on how you go fast on shale. Yeah. But, everybody kind of thinks something different. Do you know what I mean? It must be hard to kind of, what is the right way? It's also, what is the right way changes depending on the track. Yeah. And that can change from heat 1 to the final. And that's the difficult thing about shale. To be consistently quick. Yeah. You need to know exactly what you need to be doing with tyres, how you need your brakes set. Yeah. There's so much to going fast on shale. Yeah. Whereas if you don't know, if you've not raced for shale for a long time, you just don't have the experience to know all those things. So talking to, I suppose similarity with Catherine, talking to her at Northampton, racing what is now her car, and she was saying it's such a learning curve that A, I'm driving this car which is new, and B, just knowing what to do as the race is progressing and just figuring it all out. And it's just difficult to, hopefully since obviously the 2 years I have had off from racing, I've watched a lot more racing, whereas before, the first shale meeting I raced at was probably, I'd only been to 2 shale meetings before. So now I have a better understanding of what people are doing in track position wise for different track conditions. Understand. Right, listen, the car's fantastic. However, my absolute favourite bit is, I think, what are your kids' names on the side? Yeah. I think they're amazing. So front of the bonnet on the tarmac car and the side of the shale car. So they look like they've drawn it on. Yeah, so Willow decided she wanted to, with I'd said, where do you want to put your names on the cars? And she decided she wanted to write on it with a pen.
Yeah.
So I came up with the idea that if she wrote it on a piece of paper, and then that's been photocopied on and made into a sticker.
Yeah, it's fantastic, it's brilliant. I've never seen that on a stock car before. I think it's brilliant, it's great. Thank you so much for letting us come over to reveal your brand new tarmac car and refurbished shale car. It's simply fantastic. Good luck at Skegness on Good Friday. In part 2, we're going to do a part 2, and we're going to talk to you about what your day job is.
Yeah.
And that'll be out in a few days.